Look Outreach is underwritten by the generous support of Munter Enterprises. Family owned and operated since 1972, integrity is important, as our family name is on every project. Our word is our bond. Munter Enterprises. Just build it.
Exceptional products, expert design, experienced professionals. An American Buildings Company authorized builder can turn your dream of a new building into a reality. Because ABC Builders are local contractors, they know your market and can handle your project from beginning to end. So if you're ready today, your ABC Builder is building tomorrow.
Call Munter Enterprises, 518-584-6174.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, two things I think are really apparent when it comes to politics. That it could not be more divisive, a lot of contentiousness in Washington right now, which can make it very difficult to get things done. And then the second thing I think that's pretty obvious is that all politics is local. So we're very fortunate today to have Elise Stefanik, our Congresswoman, join us today to kind of get through the weeds here on a couple of things. So, Congresswoman, welcome back.
I am excited to be back at Look TV, and we're excited to have you in our office in Glens Falls.
Yeah, that's right. This isn't the usual brick wall from Saratoga. This is in Glens Falls. I know your schedule's really busy, so I'm going to get right to it, okay? The reason that we contacted your office was that most recently there was a lot of talk about this town hall meeting that was organized in Glens Falls. And when, I get a lot of press releases, so, I'm used to looking at press releases, seeing where they're from, getting the sense of the priority on them and whatever. And initially when I looked at it, it looked like it was official. It was coming from your office. We soon found out afterward that it was concerned citizens, which is fine. That's exactly what it should be. But that when you did not attend, there was a lot of confusion as to why you weren't there. Can you explain that a bit from your perspective?
Absolutely. So I welcome any form of activism and civic engagement, and I think that's a positive aspect of our political democracy. And we see that across the North Country. In terms of my record, in my first 2 years in Congress, I was proud to participate in over 500 events across the district, and I've been to Look TV many times to talk about my active presence in each of the 12 counties and the 184 towns and villages I represent. I also host Coffees with Your Congresswoman, which are open to the public, advertised in advance, and it's an opportunity for constituents to come ask questions. It's our form of a town hall. In that specific case, last week I am a new member of the Intelligence Committee, and I participated in a congressional delegation to South Korea and Japan to meet with our U.S. soldiers who are working side by side with the Koreans, and also to see our intelligence sharing. That had been booked since January. So unfortunately, I was not able to attend that event, but what I've done is, in order to be responsive, which is my job, is inviting small groups of constituents to the office to sit down and have the opportunity to have a productive discussion. I will meet with anyone, no matter what your background is and no matter what group you're from, and I pride myself on my accessibility. So we've just come off of a day and a half of very busy meetings. We had a dozen yesterday. I had 30 constituent meetings with over 100 constituents just this past week, both in my DC office and Glens Falls office, and I'm going to continue keeping up that robust schedule just like I did in my first term. But unfortunately I wasn't able to attend that event, but I did receive the questions that the constituents raised, and I was able to meet with a lot of them yesterday.
Right, and you know what, I'll second that, because there was a group here when we got here today that you were meeting with. Considering you're having that many meetings, are you getting any sleep? I mean, what's going on here?
I'm trying. It's interesting. I think since the start of this year, we track every call that comes into our office to make sure that we're responding. We track every letter to make sure they get a response. And we've seen that double compared to the January and February of 2 years ago. So we have seen an uptick of calls. My staff is working very hard. Our job is to be responsive to you. We have an open door policy in our office, so please come by my Glens Falls, Plattsburgh, or Watertown offices, or just pick up the phone, and we're happy to answer your concerns.
Gotcha. Now, Congresswoman, the 800-pound gorilla in the room is definitely the Affordable Care Act. Just this week, Rand Paul was complaining that he was knocking on the door of the committee trying to get inside to take a look at the draft of the plan that's supposedly going to replace the Affordable Care Act. They denied him access to it. There's so much misinformation rolling around about this. Where do you stand on the Affordable Care Act? Because that's very important to the people in our region.
Absolutely. So since I ran for Congress in 2014, I've been very clear. I support support a repeal with a replacement. I think having a replacement is incredibly important to make sure that we're not pulling out the rug from under those individuals who are on the ACA. I also want to point out, I actually am on Obamacare myself. I made that commitment when I was running for Congress. That is a commitment I have kept, and I don't take the congressional subsidy. So I've seen what works and also what doesn't work. Right. What concerns me is in rural communities, we continue to see increases in premiums. We also continue to see increases in deductibles. I want to move towards a better direction to give small businesses the flexibility to pool together and purchase their healthcare plan as a larger association to help lower healthcare costs and increase their purchasing power. But there are aspects of the ACA that I want to keep that I've been very clear. One is protecting those with pre-existing conditions. Right. I co-sponsored legislation when it was introduced to protect those that have pre-existing conditions. That was a broken aspect of our healthcare before Obamacare was put into law. I also support allowing young people up to the age of 26 to stay on their parents' plan. That's working with the Affordable Care Act, and we should keep that in our replacement. I am not someone who believes we should repeal and do nothing. I want to move in a more positive direction. So I'm continuing to look at these portions of the replacement package as we put together the comprehensive package, and I've been a co-sponsor of those specific issues. But again, as someone who's on Obamacare myself, I've seen that the high deductibles aren't working. I hear from constituents that they felt they've had limited access as their provider access has shrunk under the Affordable Care Act.
You know what, the argument to that, and it's somewhat legitimate, is that, you know, if the states don't participate, and I think what I read was that upwards to 19 Republican governors refused Medicaid expansion. So when you get into that situation, let's face it, rising premiums didn't start with the Affordable Care Act, right? For as long as I've been alive and on health care, premiums do rise. So it was kind of the other really direction there is people are saying, why don't you repair it? Why don't you get more people to participate, healthy people, so that the premiums would come down again, instead of repealing it, which suggests that you're starting all over again?
Sure. So I actually authored the biggest fix, the biggest repair to the Affordable Care Act. That was signed into law by the President. He signed into law actually numerous fixes, over 40 fixes in the last 5 years. What concerns me about the Affordable Care Act in terms of its collapse nationally is there are a third of the counties across the United States that only have one choice on the healthcare exchange, on the Obamacare exchange. That's of concern. There are also states that have seen triple-digit premium increases, over 100% premium increases this past year. That's of concern as well. So I think a better direction is to give patients more control over their healthcare choices. If they want to pursue a health savings account, let them pursue a health savings account. Tax credits to allow individuals who are investing and making good decisions when it comes to purchasing health insurance, that they get an incentive to do so. You brought up another key point on Medicaid. That's very particular to New York State. As you said, some governors chose to expand Medicaid, some did not. New York was a state that chose to expand Medicaid. So for that population, I've helped lead the effort to bring together the New York delegation, particularly the upstaters, to make sure that we have a seat at the table as this package is crafted, so that our Medicaid recipients, our Medicaid patients in this district and New York State broadly, don't have the rug pulled out from under them. And we're moving in a better direction to make sure that they have the support they need and access to very affordable care that they need.
Well, it sounds to me that if you stay true to those statements that repealing the Affordable Care Act, you're actually not repairing it, you're learning from it. And if you're learning from it, then maybe the next time around we'll get it right, or we'll get it closer to being right. You know, and the other point you make, I think is really well taken, that we happen to live in an area where we've got some very affluent metropolitan areas, but we also have vast regions, especially in our own district here, of rural counties where, you know, we see it because we work with a lot of healthcare organizations where people, you can tell when they come in that they don't understand what's going on and they need care. You know, so they have to be protected.
Absolutely. And what I've tried to do, and this is how I've tried to serve in this office for 2 years, is listen to feedback. And making sure that there are those who feel that Obamacare has been moving us in the wrong direction. And I hear that perspective quite often from small businesses and from individuals who are on Obamacare. On the flip side, I also meet with constituents who want to talk about what is working, which has allowed me to understand, which I understand completely, the importance of keeping the provision to keep young people on their parents' health care plan. Some of the specifics regarding providing coverage for pre-existing conditions. So yes, there are aspects that we are going to keep, but there are aspects that we are going to replace that need to be fixed. And I try to be a common sense in order to make sure that we have better health care. And specifically rural communities have better health care, because as you said, the needs in Saratoga County are very different than the needs in Hamilton County.
That's right.
And I'm going to continue hearing feedback from constituents.
You know what, the word, the two words you use, you don't hear very often, common sense, you know. But I do know you well enough to know that that's really true. You do approach it that way.
Yes.
I really applaud you for that. There's a real sense of independence in that, by the way, especially in the climate that we read about, we see every single day. Well, as you could tell, we were just starting to get into a lot of information. So we're going to present this interview in two parts. So stay tuned tomorrow for part 2. And if you want to see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.
Look Outreach is underwritten by the generous support of Munter Enterprises. Family owned and operated since 1972, integrity is important, as our family name is on every project. Our word is our bond. Munter Enterprises. Just build it.
Exceptional products, expert design, experienced professionals. An American Buildings Company authorized builder can turn your dream of a new building into a reality. Because ABC Builders are local contractors, they know your market and can handle your project from beginning to end. So if you're ready today, your ABC Builder is building tomorrow.
Call Munter Enterprises, 518-584-6174.